just rained for like 20 hours. It finally stopped, so I needed to like just come outside and go for a walk. So I tried to find a cool place. Maybe you guys ain't never been with me before, which isn't like the coolest thing in the world, but still just maybe a place I never took you before. I got a different little stick here. We go, that's better. I got this 3.0 little selfie stick thing. It can turn into a tripod or a handheld thing. Or it's got like this crazy arm, you can kind of bend it in like a whole bunch of different directions. It's pretty useful, and I kind of slept on it for a while because I got the grande pole, but now I'm going to use this thing because I like that it's comfortable to hold it, and the way the arm kind of like articulates, it keeps the pole itself out of the shot, and it raises it up to more like face level while still keeping it kind of away from me. With the little short pole that I have, it often looks like this, and it's just too damn close. I just want to watch in the background of these shots. I'm forever scaring up wildlife. They just pop out. I'm using a 4K 30 frames per second here. I think I'm using the HDR setting, although sometimes that doesn't work so good in like just semi-dark shadowy areas like I'm in now. It might make the stabilizer all wonky. I guess we'll find out. If some of you guys haven't figured it out, this is the place I work. I don't show you a couple parts of it though, because that's coming soon, but not yet. Kind of maybe there's a deal in the works about something like that. It's a pretty cool place. It's a historic property. It goes all the way back to 1801 or something like that. Yeah, something like that. Well, yeah, so, you know, like 25 years had passed the revolution itself. You know, they built themselves a little manor here in the classic Livingston fashion. Big old hillside looking out over the countryside. Now, all the way back then, only like the oldest of these trees were here. In the 200 and something years since, some of the place has been logged out, turned into fields. Some of the place has been let to grow. We got like hemlocks, we got oaks, we got some of these things are stately, man. Some of these trees are easily 200 years old. No way they're not. You'd have to call in like some, if you ever want to cut one of these things down, I don't know how you do it. The only way I can imagine doing it is with one of them old like the 2-person saws, you know what I mean? You know, I'll just walk past our firewood pile, some of the things that we try to deal with around here. We get some big ones, we get some big ones. All this crap, for instance. Some walnuts. There's a hickory, I think, in there. Big plan is we're gonna get one of them sawmill things and start planing, making big slabs out of all this big old wood like this. This here that I'm walking on, this like used to be like a road, but it's been kind of neglected, I suppose you could say. A lot of sticks and shit across the path. Looks like a whole tree right there. Fuck. Nope, we're good. We're good. Creeping through. This here is deer country. So we got these hunters that got a trail cam. They said they seen a bear on the trail cam, so I gotta punch this thing in the face if I see it, because I'm not packing right now, and he better not want a problem with me, because he'll get it. Look at this place, kind of cool. All the way back, you can see the way it's like flattened out into like these terraces. They did that so they could grow their grapes, I believe is kind of what they did here. I assume they probably made their own wine. It's not like you went down to the liquor store and grabbed a bottle. Oh, this isn't a trail, this is a stream bed. Shouldn't have put this here. Somebody needs to come through here and cut this grass. Yeah, and you see the back side of the hill has been like eroded heavily by all this water rushing down all the time. Sometimes they even have like landslides. The whole back side of the hill is all scarred up where like a big tree fell over and took half the hillside with it. This trail sucks. Oh goodness gracious. I don't have waterproof shoes on. That's kind of why I'm like walking like knees to chest here. But yeah, it's a very interesting property. My hope is always that somewhere just around the corner, the wind will blow some leaves away, or a tree will fall over and like reveal some piece of history that's been lost. Because honestly, I kind of hate when they developed the area. It's as if they tried to erase every thing that was left of it. Like historically, it's almost as if they didn't want anybody to remember what this place used to be. Kind of bugs me, even though I get it. They rebelled against the manor system all the way back then, and in fact made it illegal, at least in New York State. I'm not so familiar with how this all went down, but essentially, you know, the sons of the guys that fought in the revolution couldn't see a difference between, a big old deer right there, they couldn't see a difference between like serving for the manor lord and the same like king, queen, aristocracy, noble shit that was going on that we fought the revolution over. And they were like, you know, what did we even fight for? We got our own kings and queens right here in Columbia County, you know. They rebelled against it. Further up north in Rensselaer County, on the manor up that way, they had an actual like war about it. Dudes were riding around tarring and feathering tax collectors and shit. I don't know how much of that spread down this way. But at the end of the day, that's what's put the nail in the coffin of like places like these. And gave rise to all the subdivisions that you see, like everybody's little chunk of property they got. Those were whittled away from when the tenants rebelled, or were in some case freed from servitude to these manor lords. That was the little chunk of property that they were, you know, leasing or were allowed to keep in exchange for either rents or goods produced. And that all came crashing down on them. Those people were given that. And over time, kept chopping them up, giving pieces of it to their children, and so on and so forth. And today, now we have little towns that are laid out in half-acre squares. Didn't used to be like that. Property I'm on right here, this fella owned a significant chunk of what we call Columbia County these days, and his brothers, sisters, and grandfathers pretty much own the rest of it. And you're talking the whole Livingston Manor patent, the original one, the big chunk he got from the king back in 16 something or other, was I think 6,000 acres. I want to say 6,000. 6,000 acres sounds like a lot, but it was big, all the way from like the coast of the east side of the Hudson River to the Taconic mountain range, essentially, in like a kind of a big rectangle. So I don't know if you can imagine that on a map. Pretty big. And then of course, as everybody moved along and died and passed things along to their heirs and what have you, they still ended up with a bunch of huge manors, but in the end smaller than the original one. I'm walking around on what used to be one of those. What I'm on right now, this would have been their carriage road. Essentially, this is the way in. What you did back then is you had these long meandering paths that really like showed off like the grandioseness of your property for guests on their way in. I'm just like, all right, it's one thing to be in the back of a buggy getting towed by a horse up this. I'm wondering about the ride back down. Like that must have been, I don't know how like fancy buggies were back in the day. And you would assume people like these had the good one. But boy, oh boy, that must have been something else. It hurt your back and ass walking up, riding around in some shit like that. Yeah, I wanted to see. I came down here actually to see how this stream was doing. I was just down here yesterday, and the stream was, you know, moving along, meandering, little creek brook thing. And I can see from here she is swollen and dirty, which probably has something to do with the 20 hours of rain we had. I would guess maybe we got 1.5 inches, 2 inches over the course of that. Nothing like what they're getting in New York City right now. But, you know, it is what it is. It's funny, I'm supposed to be like working right now, but I kind of did all my work. So now I'm like, whatever, I'm just gonna go play in the woods. Let's see, large hill next to me here. This would have been the, well, it is the eastern side of the ridge, so it's very eroded now. Most of it's kind of just collapsed and curved itself off, but the whole hillside would have been terraced out, almost like in Machu Picchu. If if you know what that is, or you know what I mean by that. And then they would have had all their crops and stuff, especially their grapes apparently, growing along that. From what I can gather from history, which it's kind of sparse, they, besides the people that lived here themselves, the landowners of the place, they had did indeed have slaves in the house, lived there with them. Slavery wasn't banned in New York until I think 1834. And what happened after that is that the now former slaves really didn't have anywhere else to go or anything else to do, so they just stuck with the family that they had worked for previously anyway. I suppose in a different capacity, but at the same time, I guess not really. I don't know, I wasn't there for that transition, but that must have been something else. The road I'm walking on now, if you can see it behind me, this is original. To my knowledge, at least by me and the other people I've worked here in my career here, this road has never been resurfaced, this road has never been regraded, and it is one of the best roads on the property. These Livingston folks, when they developed somewhere, they wanted it to stay that way. And for the most part, they've done pretty well at that. Most of the buildings are gone. There's no real artifacts to speak of. Maybe you find an old, like, you know, cork top beer bottle or something here and there. We found ceramic beer bottles. That was interesting. Nothing like super cool though, and you know, there's not. Legend has it there's jewels and buried treasure, but you know, where is that? How am I supposed to find that? Or is that all BS? And what even happens if I went looking for it? I don't want to disturb no graves, man. Start getting some voodoo stuff going on. You know, I don't need any more curse upon me than I already have. What I figured where I'm at now, here at this like floodplain at the bottom of the hill, is where a lot of the bigger agricultural work would have done. They were probably not in this woods here, but there's a giant field up here. They did the hay for, I guess maybe they had farm animals. The other thing I've never really been able to figure out is what they actually did here. It wasn't just some resort for the rich folks. They physically lived here too with their kids. How much actual work they did, probably not too much, but at the end of the day, their slaves / indentured servants would have been using the manor in a self-sufficient way. There wasn't no hardware store you could go to. There wasn't a grocery store. Maybe there was like a local butcher or something, you know, how that stuff worked, but we know there was probably a blacksmith on site here. We know that this fella who had pretty good connections. One of the old buildings is actually built from a kit. Like the frame of it was purchased as like a kit, and then somehow transported here and assembled in 1810 or something like that. So I mean, you're talking some of the posts and beams that hold this building together are entire trees that have just been shaped into a rectangle and have you know, that notch and teen in with the big pins through it holding it together. This would have been done in a day where there wasn't, like, well, there's still no train connection around here. There's not UPS either. So it's, you know, imagining the infrastructure and logistical challenges that they, just to build themselves a hay barn. And you start to get an idea of what kind of money and, I guess, power like these people had. When we look at it today, maybe not the most impressive thing you ever saw. Like, it's not that big, but back in the day, that was big. That was big. And of course, lots of the lawns and grasslands. Now, lawns are a distinctly American thing, and they stem from the fact that, perhaps you've heard me say before, lawns are like a rich people thing. It said you had excess land, like you didn't even need to grow food on, you could just let that be grass. It was like the original flex. And they did that here too. Their entire frontal towards what used to be the old Post Road, which is now New York Route 9. The entire front would have been wide open to like passing traffic in there, walking, stagecoaching, cart riding, whatever. But on the whole back side of the field, especially because of the way the sun loops around the way it does, they did all their agriculture on the back side. One where the, you know, general public didn't really see it, and Just two, because that was where the better sunlight was. Their main house sits on a nice prominence. It looks, well, it used to look, it's actually gone now. Used to look like southwest, like right down the Hudson River Valley. And coupling that with the fact that all the trees around here in those times were gone, you would have had one heck of a view. I mean, I think I read somewhere it was something like a 68 or 70 mile view. Again, that's like, it's just gone now. But you really want to imagine what life must have been like. At one point, it must have been pretty regal. Like, wow, these folks living fancy. But then couple that with the fact that, like, they don't have electricity. How they actually had running water is a bit of a dispute. We figure it was probably gravity fed from, like, cisterns and whatever else. And there is an actual, like, bucket, like, dip in the hole in the ground well that exists, survives. So that was a water source from. They have an issue up at the top of a hill like that, is you either have to come all the way down here into the valley to get your water, or you got to trap what falls up there because it doesn't stick around. And they overcame these problems as well back in 1800 and something. Now, of course, they didn't do any of this work themselves. It's like Pharaoh built the pyramids, you know. Pharaoh funded the pyramids, perhaps. Pharaoh didn't get his hands dirty with that, though. So we know that it wasn't the Livingstons, I guess, probably had lots of money, and they were smart folks, no doubt. But they were not the ones that physically built any of their properties. In fact, the farther back you go, you start to realize that it was common folks that did all this killer work. Where am I going with this? I'll tell you. Going to this big old field over here. We want to see, is there any deer? Because yesterday I came down here and there was 2 fucking 6-pointers. Man, they scared the hell out of me. And I am not catching them on video. Second time. Also, I just want to see how raging this little stream is down here. Last time I brought you guys down here, I don't know if it was up real high or not. I was all talking about the geology of it. Yesterday I was wearing a bright orange shirt and a deer saw me coming a mile away. Now I'm all green. What will they do? Unless we can't be fucking tripping either. There's bears around here apparently. I wonder if I walk past some dude's trail cam. That'd be cool. There's some guy fucking with a GoPro in the woods. Yeah, he lives here. Some of you might find this remarkably similar to my I walked down a big hill video, but you know, I went a different way. And I'm probably not even gonna bring you on the walk back up because I'm probably gonna like die on the way back up. Yeah, all right, well, it's not, that water's moving for sure, but volume, it's heavy. In times of like a real flood, it can come right up to the edge of this. I mean, it's still got another 6 feet of rise before it breaks its bank here anyway. That's a good heavy, that's a good like strong flow though, for sure. It's moving pretty quick. They say still waters run deep. This channel here is probably from where I'm standing to the bottom of it 12, 15 feet. It would have been a great place to put like a little power dam or like a mill of some kind. It almost, the way it's straight the way it is always made me wonder if maybe they had either started to do something like that, maybe it was in the works. This giant field behind me is something like 15 acres. You really can't even get a beyond what you can see in the distance. It just keeps going. Like there's some trees in the way that look like a tree line, but that's not what you're looking at. GoPro doesn't really give you that perspective well. Fucking feet are all wet. This is bullshit. Where's the deer at? I know you're in here. Cowards. Yeah, look at you. Right there. See him? What's going on, Spike? Oh, you can see me? Can you guys see this fucking idiot looking at me? See him? Yeah, he's got 4 points. Looking good, bro. Yeah, now you can see him. He's moving. I knew he was here. I could fucking smell him. I knew he was fucking here. There's 2 of them. See how they were fucking forming up behind me, bro? You see that shit? You catch me slipping, son. I knew y'all was there. I'm glad you guys got to see that. Hopefully I can crop in when I edit this and you guys can see him. He's a good looking deer. Young. Man, he's only got like 4 points on him, it looked like. One of them has 6. I saw him yesterday. Fucking deer hunters probably like, what the fuck is this idiot with the camera doing? I almost had that guy. I just don't think it's hunting season yet. It's only like, what, September 29th? I don't know when the deer season starts. What are these guys even doing here? I mean, they've been active. Look at the way everything's trampled down. This is like Deer City down here. Super cool, super cool. I don't know how long I've been talking for, but I'll stay with you guys until like I gotta start actually walking back up the hill, and then I'm not. Probably turn the camera off because I mean, you just don't want a video of me sweating, fucking breathing heavy on the GoPro, you know. It helped that I'm wearing like this sweater. It was pouring its ass off earlier. Get the fuck off of me. I hate that shit. Kind of like, I ate too much for lunch is my problem. Kind of like, now I'm out walking around, hiking, doing some cardio with my beloved subscribers. In the dank, dark woods. I wonder, this will be really cool too. I ain't never brought this camera out and just done this yet. For all I know, it died. I was talking shit to it. Nope, still going. Cool. I just came down here and cut these paths out yesterday because I was like, I should probably cut those paths down. It's been a while, and then come to then we got 20 inches of fucking rain. If I hadn't done that yesterday, I probably wouldn't have been able to do it for quite some time. I hate it when the grass gets away from me. I kind of like, I get anxious when I can't cut the grass and it keeps raining. Once it gets away from me, you cannot get back on top of it without making a mess. You're fucking making your lawnmower's covered in grass clippings. It just looks like shit. Like, you can't get, yeah, what are you gonna do? Go rake it up out of the lawn? I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. Who does that? Rake the lawn? Okay. Well, we got to see a buck, so that was cool. I will do my best to edit this video so you guys can see him good. GoPro makes it look like the thing's 1.5 miles away from me. He was literally like 12 feet, like right in the wood line. We're at the YMCA. Just wanted to stay there from what I'm told. This was the place that creeped me out yesterday because the grass here, I was sitting on this little zero turn. Look at that squirrel, he was big. The little zero turn I'm sitting on is only maybe, as you're in the seat, now you're 3 feet off the ground. And the grass here was like 2 feet high, so like only my head was like above the grass, and I felt like I was just gonna get ambushed by like predators at any moment. I still do, but the GoPro Hero 12 is extremely durable. If I need to use it as a melee weapon, I could probably like give him a bonk, you know. It'll be the breaking point that I need to make my escape and pull a power move out on some bear. Like, yeah, he didn't even see me. I'm afraid of a fucking black bear. They're fucking kind of like timid creatures. Maybe a really big one with like an attitude, but usually they're younger and stupider, and they're just kind of, they'll run away from you as a general rule. Or there's not some stupid idiot about it. I've seen more deer flitting through the woods here, so there's bound to be more of them. They're so weird because, you know, if they didn't move, I wouldn't see them. As soon as they run and you see the white tail, you're like, oh, there they go. They would just stay still. A little soggy down here. Sorry, I was holding the camera a little close there for a minute. She say something. Hey bro, get the camera out of your left nostril, or fucking angle is retarded, man. I don't know why you guys be able to hear me either. I'm trying to be kind of quiet. I know these deer are here. This happened last time. They're fucking standing right here looking at me. They're kind of funny. I always had trouble spotting deer until I got glasses, and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, they're right there. Shit. They must have took off. This is sort of a wow. Okay. I was gonna say, this is usually where all the animals hold up and they have a drink of water. It's a calm area in the stream, like Adirondack painting, like calm style. You know what I mean? Like all the little birds and deers, and everybody's like peacefully drinking water together. But instead, what we find is this. So we're not doing a whole lot of peaceful drinking here. Right now anyway, and that water's dirty, so wherever that's coming from, that's doing some erosion. Okay, there we are. That's all I wanted to see. Yes, indeed. The creek is up. I know there's deer around here somewhere. I've seen their little freaking tails flapping. The brush is a bit thicker here. That other guy, he was pretty easy to spot. Bucks always like places like that where almost like this swampy, real brushy, hard to get in and out of. Pricker bushes and stuff like that. Like they're, you know, the word that comes to mind is like they're cowardly. Like they just hide in the swamp all day, and then they come out at night and like they fucking fight with each other, like butt heads and stuff. As a general rule, all they do is just stand in swamps all day, though. Refuse to show themselves. Fight me like a man, you coward. The thing, the other reason I straight up like know they're here is that look at all this run through here. Like the bucks are probably the ones just rampaging through here, like you know, just big rumpus hour fighting with each other, sparring, whatever they call it. But again, like as you think about, as I'm looking around here, there's an old tree or two, but oh god, mostly these trees are, you know, 20 to 50 years old, I'd guess. So you start to get an impression that even this area was flattened out, and maybe it was a giant field all the way back in the day. But we're almost getting towards, like, there's no way to really find pictures from like the original era of this place. They just didn't have that. If you're lucky, you find like a sketch or a drawing of like one of the people that lived here. It kind of looks cartoonish. You're left to guess about everything. Because they were private people, they're not exactly celebrities, though they may have been. Their business wasn't exactly public. They weren't the types to go ask for a building permit, have any sort of record keeping besides their own financial dealings, you know. There's no way to even really go back and get like specs of like what their house, there's pictures of it, but I don't know if like where you could go ahead and try to find the original blueprints or the specifications. There wasn't no building inspector back then. Just a unwritten law that said like build a good house that doesn't fall down. So they did. You know what's really getting me out of breath is talking while I'm walking. I don't know what you guys may or may not have learned from this journey. It wasn't full of all kinds of insightful knowledge this time. But coming soon, I will be talking more about historical sites in and around Columbia County proper, and especially my hometown of Livingston. It's a thing, I'm kind of like an amateur hobbyist about it. I'm not going to sit down and give a lecture, act like I'm teaching somebody history or anything, but there's always something to learn, and what I want to do is go out, bring you guys with me, and we'll go out and learn about all this stuff together, all these historical markers and stuff. I'm just going to stop and be like, let's do a video about this historical marker, and we can learn together what went on here. Why'd they feel the need to put a sign here? So that's going to be coming soon, along with another thing I got up my sleeve that I can't really tell you too much about. So stick with me for that. And yeah, if I see something really cool on my way back up, I'll turn the camera off again, or excuse me, I'll turn the camera back on again, but I think I'm probably going to turn the camera off. So I don't think there's going to be much to see. And I got to walk all the way back up this stupid hill. Oh my God, I'm sweating already. It's humid. I'm wearing a heavy goddamn sweater. and a raincoat. Do I have a rucksack to put it in? Hell no. Well, it's still been a fun walk. I've been meaning to just bring this Hero 12 out and shoot a big long video with it. A couple of weird effects I like to try out. I found this one, you know, like you turn something like negative, you put the invert filter, some people call it. What this does is only does it to shadows, so then it turns around and makes what's light dark and what's dark light. That's a trippy filter because it preserves the color, but it turns it all supernatural and shit. You're seeing it now because I just put it on there. That's what I'm talking about. It's dope. Also, there's this one that's kind of got this rainbow gradient to it. The murder of crows. I don't know if they're mad at me. I don't think they're mad at anybody. I think they're just congregating. We've seen them fly through here like in formation. They fly around the property and they harass all the hawks and owls. They'll just like gang up on them, like they see like a hawk sitting there, they'll just come around and like like fucking till he like hoofs it. It's wild. Like at first they might seem like they're assholes, but they're like, nope, predator, you gotta get out of here, bro, nope. And they'll just sit there and harass them. Right? They may be doing just that. Or they're like, you know, I don't know, crows are weird. They're all happy to see each other, who knows. Well, cool. We got to see a deer, and you got to hear some crows. I really don't know what else you could possibly want from me. I just wanted to take a walk and see how the creek was doing. It's raging. It's up there. So now we know. The waters are arising. Don't cross the running water. Don't drive through running water. All right, everybody, thanks for checking this out. I'm gonna cut the clip before I have a asthma attack from walking up this hill. Thanks for watching. Peace.